CRM permissions. There are several different CRM permissions, a lot of different areas that you can allow and restrict access for users pertaining specifically to CRM, whether that is email campaigns, email layouts, data capture forms, landing pages, status sets. All of that information can be restricted or allowed access to, and we'll be going through all of the different permissions pertaining to CRM today. First, we'll start in the MDF recruiting permissions section and go through the permissions that are enabled there. So first we have campaign listed here, which is creating an email campaign, the permission to create an email campaign. Here we have the ability to have view access, view and edit access, and import, export access as well. Next, we have campaign content, which is creating email campaign content. You will see for all the options here, they are the same permission options, view, edit, and import, export. Next is campaign pool, which is adding talent pools to email campaigns. Next is campaign recipient, which is adding recipients to email campaigns. We'll skip the candidate follow and candidate activity section for now, as they relate to the activity tracking dashboard, which we'll cover in a little bit. The pool pertains specifically to view, editing, and creating talent pools. Next is pool member, which is view, editing, talent pool members. And then lastly, we specifically to the talent pools as well, is sharing the talent pools with groups and sharing talent pools with users. Jumping back up to the candidate activity tracking sections, we have the candidate follow option as well as the candidate activity option. The first one pertains specifically to giving access to follow candidates and giving that button whether or not you are able to follow candidates and their actions that they are performing on the data capture forms and applications. And then the candidate activity, which is allowing that permission and allowing the dashboard to be available. There are two other permissions pertaining specifically to candidate activity tracking. And those are actually controlled under recruiting permissions. So we'll jump into that next. And the two permissions there are, one is the follow, unfollow external candidate, which is listed here. And that gives the ability to follow or unfollow an external candidate. And then the next is view candidate activity feed on the candidate profile. So that's giving the permission to view that activity feed specifically on the candidate profile. Next, we'll jump out to some of the different permissions that are performed actually within the manage data section. So this is controlled under manage MDF recruiting objects. So here we have campaign limits. So this is viewer editing the actual data for the campaign limits. Again, we have the same permissions of view, edit, import, export. We'll skip the status sets for the status options for now. Email brand template, view and editing email brand templates. Marketing brands is view and editing marketing brands. Pool limits is view and editing talent pool limits. And then going back to the status options, here is the ability to actually give the control for creating candidate relationship management statuses, status sets, and then mapping those statuses to the status sets. So first is the status, creating individual statuses, whether it's maybe a warm lead or haven't contacted yet status. Then we have status set, which is creating the actual status set for what those statuses would be on, and then the actual status map for the order of what those statuses appear on the actual status set itself. So those are all of the different permissions that are controlled under Manage MDF Recruiting Objects. Next, we will jump over to two other permissions pertaining specifically to email template creation. So creating the actual templates or the content templates. There are two additional permissions that are permissioned for that. One is under Manage Recruiting. And that permission specifically is the administrator permission for email campaign content template and OData entities. This gives the permission to access that admin section to create content templates. And then the other is under recruiting permissions. And this permission here is also necessary for the admin permissions to create campaign content templates, and this is the OData API candidate export, this one right here. Lastly, the permissions that we want to cover are specific to Career Site Builder access. So in order to access and create data capture forms, landing pages, and email layouts, you need access to Career Site Builder. So under Manage Recruiting, under Manage Recruiting, you would just need the blanketed access of Manage Career Site Builder, and this would give you access to Career Site Builder to be able to create data capture forms, landing pages, and email layouts. There is a second tiered layer of permissions and roles available within Career Site Builder, which we will go into. We'll go into that next, but just know that this blanketed permission would give you access when CRM is enabled to go in and create data capture forms, landing pages, and email layouts. So why don't we hop out to Career Site Builder to show that additional permissioning available there. Under Users, Roles, we have the ability to create additional roles. You'll actually see here in this demo environment, I have a CSB admin role, an email layout, and a landing page and data capture form role to show that we do have kind of a layered tier of permissions in case we do want to permission users only to access these specific functions within Career Site Builder. You know, we don't want users to be able to create and edit pages on the recruiting marketing site, but we do want them to be able to create the email layouts and or landing pages and data capture forms. We could create separate roles here and permission those that way. So if we created a role, here we have the ability then to permission various aspects of Career Site Builder and give them access only to what we want here. So pertaining specifically to CRM, we would want to only give access then to email layouts, which is controlled here within CSB, data capture forms, and then we would also want to give access to only landing pages for them to access. That way, all CRM functions are accessible for this specific role once we assign that to a user, and then they aren't able to access other parts of Career Site Builder that way. Thank you.